Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to JFD Brokers Traders Tea Time with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today's the 21st of January 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Monday's afternoon session where we're going to have a look at the markets, a few charts, the usual stuff, guys. But before we do that, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest and we can continue. So now then, guys, let's quickly jump in to the charts. Now the first one I want to touch on here is the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Now looking at this one, of course, this is very interesting. It continues to climb higher, and but what's probably more interesting than that is the fact that it's getting closer to its downside resistance line, this medium-term downside resistance line taken from the high of the 3rd of October, and in a way this is where we're going to be keeping a close eye on to, because if this fails to withhold the price down, then, well, I mean, this is where it could become more bullish in the near term. We could start targeting much higher levels. Of course, we'll aim for the 26,000 and above that, but again, for now, let's play this safe, let's play this carefully. Certainly today we're looking at the cash index right now, you can see that it's a bit of a slide here, so we will probably open somewhere a little bit lower here around the 24,600 level, so keep your eyes on that one. Now, like I said, it will be interesting to watch, because even though we are going to close, we are going to open slightly lower here, still this is going to be above this short-term upside support line that kind of in a way continues to show direction for this index. And for now, of course, this is a very tricky spot. Certainly, on one hand, we are still bullish, we are still aiming for higher levels, and to be honest, it has good, perfect reason to continue traveling higher, due to the risk-on sentiment that's currently in the market here. So for now, like I said, for now we are aiming higher. We are aiming towards these higher levels here. First, of course, we will aim for this one right here around the 24,840 level, marked here by the highs of the 12th of December. But slightly above that, of course, we do have this downside resistance line that I've mentioned before, and also, of course, this is going to be around the psychological 25,000 level. So the psychological, so a quarter of 100,000, basically this could be the nice good potential target for this week. But it will be very interesting to see how today's day is going to end up trading, and where today's day is going to end up closing, because if it still remains above this short-term upside support line, certainly, yep, we could continue aiming for higher levels. But if this suddenly drops below this upside support line, now of course this could be a bit of a warning sign here for the bulls, but in a way, for us to start considering much lower levels, or let's say start considering the downside on this index, we would need to see a nice good drop below the 24,125 level, approximately there, and only then we'll aim for the levels like the 23,530, or even actually going all the way here towards this as a little bit high. You can see the highlighted dashed line here, which marked the opening price of this year. So of course, but for now, guys, until we're as long as we're kind of remain above this short-term upside support line, the momentum, but the momentum is also still to the upside, so keep your eyes on that one. Let's see how this plays out near the 24,840 level, and of course the psychological 25,000 level, and of course the downside resistance line that I was just mentioning. So a lot of levels, a lot of good areas to watch out for, guys, here. Be very careful, be safe on this one. Certainly we could see maybe a sharp if this continues to travel further up here, and if let's say if it decides to break this downside resistance line, the break could be a strong one, and we could see maybe a strong pop here. So be very careful with those shorts if you are planning to enter any, but which I don't recommend to do anything like that yet. For now, what the little recommendation here is just to probably play it safe, remain neutral, and wait for that confirmation break. So on the upside here, if we jump into the 4-hour chart here, guys, so in a way, if this decides to travel above the last week's highs near the 24,750 level, certainly that could, a nice good break above that level could open the path towards the psychological 25,000 level. But if this suddenly starts dropping below this upside support line, like I said before, the level that we could get a bit more comfortable with the downside is the break below the 24,125 level. So be very careful. I do understand it's quite far away from where it is right now, but to be honest, it's better to be safe than sorry. Jumping into one commodity quickly, so that's Brent oil. Now looking at this one, certainly at the moment we are still bullish on this one, given the fact that also it's now trading above this key area of resistance near the 62.55 level. As you can see today, it's slightly on the upside, but to be honest, the move is not as strong as we would probably hope for. Still that said, we are still kind of aiming for higher levels here. The next potential strong area of resistance that we're keeping a close eye on here is the 68.35 area, approximately there, which coincides with the 200 EMA here on the daily chart. So keep your eyes on that one, guys. At the moment, like I said, it is more bullish than bearish, but because it's still kind of very close to this resistance area that previously acted as a good area of resistance, this area around the 62.55 zone. So because it's still very close to that, it could in a way reverse strongly back down suddenly, and then if we do get a scenario like that, to be honest, we're going to continue observing it. This is where we will probably turn a little bit more to the neutral side, and in order to start examining much lower levels here, or in general the downside, well, we would need to see a nice good drop here below this little area here around the 59.20 level. A nice good break below that area could potentially open the path towards the 55.40 or even lower. But for now, guys, the downside is slightly off the table, but still be very careful with this one. And if you are looking for some longs here, then strong recommendation here is not to forget your stop loss, just in case this suddenly reverses back down, and so that it wouldn't take you out too much. Jumping into AUDUSD. Now this is a very interesting pair, and at the same time very tricky. So overall, still trading below this, maybe somebody could say a tentative downside resistance line here, taken from the highs of January last year. So of course, it's still the whole outlook still remains kind of more to the negative side, but of course the recent move higher here, or should I say from the beginning of January, this pair was moving higher, tried to push higher, tried to kind of reach that downside resistance line, but kind of failed of doing that here near this 0.7240 level, from which it kind of reversed back down. So currently is breaking its key area of support near the 0.7150 level. So this is where we're going to keep on monitoring for today as well, because if it remains below this area, below the 0.7150 level, then it has a good chance to travel further down here towards the 0.7115. I do understand it's only about 35 pips away, but the only thing is that we do have, looking at this Bollinger Band here, we do have the 20 SMA here, so the middle of the Bollinger Band, so keep your eyes on that one. This is where the hold up could be initially. But to be honest, if this suddenly suddenly fails to withhold the bear pressure here, then yep, further declines are possible. This could be a nice confirmation break here for the downside. So this could be that seen as a gateway towards the downside. So that's why, guys, for those who are more on the cautious side, you could in a way wait for the 0.7115 level to see how that performs around this level, and if we get a strong confirmed break here below, then yep, we could start aiming lower. Initially, of course, we will aim for this little potential area of support here, which previously acted as a nice area of resistance, and that's approximately around the 0.7080 level. But if that fails to withhold, then yep, further declines, much further declines are possible here towards lower levels like the 0.7025, or even actually going lower. But for now, of course, let's not get ahead of ourselves too much. Let's see today how this performs around the 0.7150 level. Just to kind of mention that around that area we do have the 21 EMA as well. So if this is going to stay not only below the 0.7150 but also below the 21 EMA, then certainly yep, we could see these further declines. But again, probably this 0.7115 level is going to be the slightly more important one to watch, because if this gets broken, then yep, further declines could be possible. If, let's say, this suddenly reverses back up here and stays above the 0.7150, certainly the downside could be slightly off the table. The only thing is that I wouldn't probably suggest here to start jumping into those longs. For us, let's say, to start considering much higher levels, well, to be honest, because we're going to be more on the safe side here, we need to see this good break above this downside resistance line that I was talking about, this long-term downside resistance line, in a way a tentative downside resistance line. So a break above that could open the path towards higher levels like the 0.7385 or even above that. But for now guys, until we kind of see that, we're very cautious. Even though it's now pointing to the downside, still we're very cautious on this one, because we did have a nice move higher here in January, in the first half of January. So that's why excuse me, that's why we remain, like I said, we're not really jumping into these cells here, because oh, excuse me guys, my voice is going down. So that's why, like I said, we are having a nice run. We did have a nice run here in the beginning of January. So this, to be honest, it has a good, also it could potentially reverse here back up and aim for this downside resistance line. But again, this is just for now just pure speculation. We'll just go from what we're seeing here right now at this point. So for today, basically guys, the 0.7150 level, that's the one to watch. Jumping into EURCHF, now this is of course a very good one. Looking at this daily chart, of course you can see that this is a bit of a bullish setup here. So since it reversed here from the 112.20 level, it continues to create these higher lows, which also is a nice, good bullish indication. But for better confirmation of the upside, we need to see this nice, good close of the daily candle here above the 113.40 level, which is around here, guys. So a nice good break and a close above this area could potentially increase the chances of this pair traveling further up here towards the 113.85, or even actually testing this 200 EMA here, shown as the black line, and that's approximately around the 114.05, something like that. So keep your eyes on that one. So that's why for now, guys, the level to watch out for is the 113.40. Let's see how that performs around there. On the downside, well, if this suddenly drops back down below the 112.70 level, certainly we'll start aiming for the recent lows here that we saw back in the beginning of January. That was around the 112.20. Or even if that doesn't hold, well, we could see maybe a slide further down towards the 111.85, something like that, seen by the spike low here of this 3rd of January. So keep your eyes on that one, guys. Very interesting developments here. But again, like I said, the 113.40 level on the upside, let's see. We need to see a nice, good, clear, strong break above that level in order to kind of aim further up. I do apologize for my voice, guys. So GBPNZD, the last pair for today. Now, guys, looking at this one, certainly at the moment it seems that it wants to continue traveling further up here, but it recently found its resistance near the 192.45 level. Now from here you can see that on Friday it retraced back down, but also found good support near the 190 1.1995 area. So today we're seeing a nice push back up from this level. So in a way now what it's doing, it's starting to range within this little area here between the 190.95 level and on the upside the 192.45. So in a way what we're gonna do here, and if we look at the 4-hour chart, we're gonna wait for a nice confirmation break here below this level here, below the 190.95, and if we do get a break below this, then yep, we could maybe start examining a little bit lower levels here, maybe dropping even below the psychological 190 level, aiming for something like for the 189. But for now we're just gonna play it safe, play it neutral. For the upside, we need to see this good push above the 192.45 level, and only then we will target higher levels. And by higher levels I mean the area here around the 193.50 or even going further up here. But again, for now, let's play it short and simple. A nice good pop above the 192.40 level could open the path towards the next potential area of resistance near the 193.50. And on the downside, well, it could, like I said, if we do get a break here below the 1.9095, then we could start aiming for lower levels. Also, just to kind of show you, just to kind of remind you that we are still trading above this short-term upside support line taken from the lows of December last year. So also could be a nice good area for a test. But again, in order to kind of consider this area, this upside support line getting tested again, we need to see a drop below the 1.9095 level. Okay guys, I hope you found it useful, and thank you very much for watching and listening. And if you want to join me tomorrow morning at my Traders Espresso, and that's 7 o'clock GMT time. But for now, I hope you have a fantastic evening, guys. Bye for now.